I think we can get started. Good morning, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Global Nutrition Cluster Annual Meeting for 2021. I'm Erin Boyd, and I will be co-chairing today. I'm a member of the Strategic Advisory Group for the Global Nutrition Cluster, and I work at USAID in the Bureau for Humanitarian Assistance. And I'm just going to quickly introduce my co-chair for today, Colleen Emery. Colleen, do you just want to quickly say hello?
Hi, everyone. My name is Colleen Emery. I'm a Senior Technical Advisor with World Vision, and I'm also the co-lead of the GNC Technical Alliance and a SAG member. Really great to see so many signing on today.
And as many of you know, it's been 2 full years since the nutrition clusters held its annual meetings. We're very excited to be doing it, even in a virtual format. And we're very lucky this morning to have 4 speakers start us off. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Anna, who is going to play a welcome video from the Executive Director of UNICEF, Henrietta Fore. Over to you, Anna. And with that, we're going to go back to the Henrietta Fore video and see if we have audio now.
Colleagues, on behalf of everyone across UNICEF, we appreciate the strong and growing interest in the Global Nutrition Cluster. We are all part of this work to make our nutrition efforts stronger and more coordinated across humanitarian action, and to gather partners around this critical effort. As cluster lead agency, and as a member of the IASC dedicated to stronger humanitarian coordination to serve and support people in the greatest need. UNICEF is proud to provide our experience and expertise to this work as we seek to jointly deliver humanitarian nutrition services at scale to people, no matter where they live. In fact, nutrition is firmly embedded in our new core commitments for children, launched this year. These commitments represent the core UNICEF policy and framework for humanitarian action, and they give nutrition the prominence that it deserves as a critical element of humanitarian response. This issue takes on a special importance this year, as we look ahead to the Nutrition for Growth Summit in Japan. This year of action provides a historic opportunity to transform the way the world tackles malnutrition, and I look forward to hearing the results of this week's discussions. We have an important opportunity to shape the future of this cluster's work, and I know we will emerge more united and coordinated in this effort as we seek to reach every child everywhere with the nutrition support that they need. Thank you.
Great, thank you everyone for your remarks. And as Saul, good morning, and just to say it's Gerda Verberg who is going to be speaking on behalf of the Scaling Up Nutrition Movement. Thank you, Gerda.
Thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. There's always a little bit of difference between being live connected or through a video, though through a video could also be helpful. Thank you very much for having me here at your annual meeting, because from the Sun Movement perspective, we very much appreciate the building and the moving forward collaboration between the Global Nutrition Cluster and the Sun Movement. And many of your members are also members of the Sun Movement, but in this time of COVID and starting to think about building forward better, we need each other even more. And for that reason, I would like to make some remarks, because we all know that in the near future, there won't be enough budget to really cover all emergency and humanitarian needs. But if you look at the global picture and you zoom into every country, there is really a growing nutrition challenge in every country. So wherever we can, let us join forces. And for this reason, I would like to ask you to consider during your busy meeting, because I've seen the agenda, it's quite a busy meeting, but desperately needed. I would like to ask you 3 concrete things. Let us make sure that we are working together to create a social infrastructure for nutrition at the country level. Wherever there is a conflict or there is the climate shock and there is emergency, try to connect with the people that are there, be it the Sun Movement people or the local or regional authorities that are still involved, so that you from the very beginning can use also their assessment to work hand in hand and to hand over and build ownership from the very beginning. That is an important issue. My second ask to you is, and some of you are doing this already in a very smart way, let us combine activities and actions and focus on joint implementation. Let me make clear what I mean. The Sun Movement and Gavi are building a partnership. We are all aware of the fact that COVAX is needed to get vaccination, COVID vaccination everywhere. It's still not happening, but COVAX is needed to do the immunization, and Gavi is playing an important role. We are building collaboration with Gavi to combine vaccination actions with food and nutrition actions. So not only the nutrition action, but also the need to hand out nutritious food and do also the nutrition specific actions that are needed. And we are learning this example. It's not new, but it's desperately needed. There are, of course, already good examples in recent history of combining immunization with vitamin A services, etc. But let us make this happen more. That is, it's attractive for families, especially in the remote area, to come to the center. It's taking away sometimes the fear for being vaccinated, and it's a smart also when it comes to logistics and to being cost effective. My third and final ask to you is, this year is the year of action on nutrition. And we need every voice and everyone to sing the song of the crucial importance of nutrition to start to implement all sustainable development goals. Without human capacity development, be it physical, be it cognitive, be it productive, we will never be able to implement it. So though we are aware that there will be less funding, less usual funding available, let us make sure that nutrition is well covered and well involved in the Food System Summit, because the best nutrition starts with prevention and not with curation, of course. So let us make sure that it is involved in the agenda. Let us also make sure that there is a strong bridge between the Food System Summit and the Nutrition for Growth Summit, to be hosted by the government of Japan in December this year. And then let's make sure that there are solid and strong commitments as an outcome of the Nutrition for Growth Summit, not only on the financing, but also on universal health coverage, on food systems, and on accountability and implementation, creating actions focused on impact. And with this, I would like to emphasize once again how happy we are of the close collaboration. Let us know where we can be your voice or be your advocate. And I wish you a very, very fruitful meeting. Thank you. All the best.
Thank you so much, Gerda. And it's so great to have concrete things to think about and work on. So really appreciate the recommendations. I'm going to hand it over now to Marixtel Rolano, who's the Deputy Director for Emergency Operations at UNICEF, for a few opening remarks.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much, Gerda, for your words. Good morning, colleagues. Let me thank you for inviting me today in representation for IMOPS and for Manuel Fontaine, our director. I attended the session in person in Brussels 2 years ago. I remember, I don't know if you will remember, but I do. And I hope that we can meet again soon in person. In the meantime, just let me share with you that UNICEF continues and is fully committed to take our responsibility as cluster lead agency for nutrition. We take this job very seriously. We have invested in strengthening the work of the nutrition cluster and country coordination platforms. And I just want to, as a starter, reiterate our commitment for the years to come, as we see this role as a very important one, and in particular in our office here in IMOPS. Last year, we commissioned a humanitarian review of for UNICEF, and this humanitarian review, which has been presented in a number of forums already, has highlighted how much has been achieved by UNICEF in humanitarian coordination, and in particular also in the nutrition sphere. But it also identifies key bottlenecks in improving humanitarian coordination, of which UNICEF is already working to improve through various initiatives around the strengthening of the clusters. And so to go deeper into this, we are conducting a comprehensive evaluation, we call it CLARE, of the clusters, and a number of stakeholders in this meeting, you were already interviewed about this evaluation. So the results will be ready by September, and definitely we want to share with you the results. The idea is to come up with recommendations that will improve how we can strengthen our cluster lead agency role across all levels of the organization. At the same time, we are in the process of finalizing the strategic plan 2022-2025, and we have been working to ensure that the plan includes strengthening of the coordination perspective to orient the world at global and at country office level. So it's an excellent timing that the Global Nutrition Cluster is also developing the Nutrition in Emergency Sector Roadmap and the strategy, the cluster strategy, so that we can ensure alignment between these three important plans. And finally, just to, I need to be short and to the point here, but we will definitely continue to spearhead effective and accountable cluster and sectoral coordination that will contribute to delivering people-centered humanitarian services at scale, anywhere and at any time. And I think that our team leading the nutrition cluster here in Geneva is fully prepared, and is a very strong team that can take you into that direction, that can help you to achieve that those goals that you have planned for yourselves. So thank you so much, and I really wish you a very fruitful meeting. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And it has been wonderful to have the cluster coordination team in Geneva supporting and doing a lot of the heavy lifting for this meeting too. So just to acknowledge that. We will now go to another UNICEF member, Saul Guerrero, who is a senior nutrition advisor at UNICEF, for the next opening remarks. Over to you, Saul.
Hi, thank you, Erin. Thank you, everybody. What year it has been. If you look back at the last time we met a couple of years ago, I don't think we could have anticipated everything that has happened in the last 24 months. So I want to start by thanking everybody that is online today, and in particular, our partners in the cluster and the members of the cluster, and those of you at country level who have held the fort throughout all, especially the last 16 months or so. We know it's been unprecedented, and the strain that it has put on everybody dealing with a crisis that not only affects the other, but it simultaneously affects ours, and that there has really not been an awful lot of that, and having to stay focused on the job and delivering on the responsibilities of the cluster throughout that period. It has been an incredible challenge. So first of all, thank you to everybody. For UNICEF, this meeting is incredibly important, as Marcel mentioned. It comes at a time when we're starting to make sure that both aspects of our emergency work on nutrition, the work the program division does and where I sit, and that the work that the cluster does is closely coordinated and an extension of one another, but of course with one major difference, and that's all of you. The fact that all of the work that we do in the cluster and the close coordination requires the collaboration and leveraging the collective capacity of the members is something that is deeply important to us. Over the last 12 months, you have seen how this has taken shape in the form of the Global Nutrition Cluster Technical Assistance Mechanism that I'm incredibly proud of seeing where that has gotten to. And again, I know that that is the result of all of your work. So we remain incredibly thankful for all of you for allowing us to build and roll that out at a critical time. This particular meeting, of course, will be a meeting like no other, not only because it's happening in 2021 and we are looking at a year that will have Yemens, that will have Ethiopias, that will have Madagascar's, Northern Nigerias, that will have Burkinas, that will have DRCs, that will have Northern Nigerias. And we need to be ready not only to do more, but to do better as a community, to do it in a more coordinated manner than ever before. And to do that, it feels critically important to have a strategy that is fit for purpose. So over the next 3 days, we're going to do some of the heavy lifting in ensuring that the cluster has a strategy that can meet the new challenges that have come up over the last couple of years and we know are only going to be exacerbated. And my only plea to you as we embark on this process, on the 3-day process, to give the cluster and the global community the nutrition and emergencies strategy that it deserves, is to make choices. Less is going to be more. We can't do everything. So rather than doing all the things that could be done, let's absolutely focus on the things that must be done, and let's stay focused on a few things that we know are going to be transformative. So thanks once again to everybody for everything that has happened over the last couple of years and all your support to make the cluster response everything that it has been. As UNICEF, we're deeply, deeply thankful for your support, and we look forward to your support in drafting our new strategy. Thank you.
Thank you, Saul. Alluded to, today really is the first day we will be working and looking at the past 5 years achievements, as well as looking at the challenges in the nutrition emergency sector. And as someone who's been involved with the cluster for, I think, a decade, it's really exciting for me to see the program and coordination sides coming so closely together again. And so for that, I think today is really important to get everyone's thinking and input. So we hope that the 3 hours will be fruitful. I'm going to hand it over to Colleen now, and so that she can talk a little bit about the ground rules for today and for the rest of the meeting. Over to you, Colleen.
Great. Just wait to see the slide here. Okay, so just some housekeeping rules. So you know this meeting's being recorded. It's going to be posted on the GNC website after. We are going to be dividing into groups later on today. That work is also going to be recorded, but we are not going to be posting that online. The purpose of recording that is so that it can be used for work to follow up this meeting. We'll talk more about the groups and how many there are later, but just a note, you're requested to please join the same group for the entire week, because the work that you're going to start today is going to continue and build for the rest of the week. You're going to have an opportunity to select your breakout room, but you need to have this Zoom version 5.3.0 plus. If you don't have that, don't worry, there's still a way around it. Just remain in this main meeting room, and then there'll be some technical support provided to get you to a breakout room. As we're a large group, unfortunately, we can't go around and introduce ourselves, but please take a moment to say hello in the chat. Just if you can share who you are and where you're based. I think it's always interesting to see the spread around the world of where we all come from and the agency you're with. For our exchanges today and for our dialogue, we are going to be trying to use the chat as much as possible for questions and for comments. And so I encourage you to make our chat active today. We are going to have a couple of Q&A sessions. So if you want to speak at that time, then we do ask when you do speak, please turn your video on, have it off when you're not speaking, just to save bandwidth for everyone. And you should all be on mute. And if you're not, someone will probably mute you, but if you can just be mindful of that. Next slide, please. just going to take us through very quickly the agenda for this week and next, actually. So we have today we're starting off and tomorrow part 1. So we're looking at the development of an NIE sector roadmap. Today's group work is going to identify what the key challenges are. Tomorrow we're going to look at what the key actions should be and to address those challenges, and what things that we need to focus on. June 17th is going to look at development of the GNC 2022 to 2025 plan, strategic plan, and there'll be an intentionality to look at how that strategy fits with this NIE roadmap work that we're going to be starting with today. And as you know, this meeting is happening in 2 parts. So part 2 starts next week. It's the GNC satellite events. There are several sessions of interest. And so I encourage you to have a look at the meeting page and identify which of the satellite events you are going to attend. Next slide, please. So just for today's agenda, very quickly, we're going to start off with Anna giving us a progress update on what has been achieved through the 2017 to 2021 timeframe. That will be followed by Q&A, and then the next is looking at the process of putting together that NIE sector roadmap and also the next plan, 2022-2025 plan for the GNCs, strategic plan. Then we'll have a 10-minute break after a Q&A session there, and then you'll be back to group work. So there's going to be groups, breakout rooms, and you're going to be looking at the key challenges for the NIE, for different aspects of NIE. So you're going to be able to select which group you're interested in joining. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Then we're coming back together. So please don't leave the session from your groups. Please come back. We're going to have a very short wrap up, and we're going to have a group Zoom photo. So if you showed up to this meeting wearing your PJs, you might want to put something else on during the break so that you're not in your PJs for the group photo. Okay, so next slide, please. All right, so we're going to try to introduce a little bit of fun throughout this morning because we know these virtual meetings, we're probably all really tired of them, right? So a few times this morning or today, whatever your time zone is, you're going to see a photo put up before you of a previous GNC meeting. So if you can go to the reaction button on the bottom of your Zoom screen, if you were at this meeting, give it give a reaction, a thumbs up, heart, whatever you'd like to do, just so we can see who was there. And if you're a real keener, if you can guess in the chat box where this meeting took place and what year it took place. Do you have anybody answering that yet? New York. No, it wasn't New York.
I do see some thumbs up though, if you recognize yourself.
Yeah, so some of you were there. That's great. I'm not going to delay us because I know we're running a little bit behind.
Oh,
so
I think we have the correct answer. Yes,
Geneva, and it was in 2017. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Anna, and she'll give us a progress update of the achievements of the GNC in the last 5 years. Over to you, Anna.
Thank you very much, Colleen. So I do have 20 minutes for this presentation, and you can imagine that it's very difficult to explain in 20 minutes what we have done in 5 years. So I will be rather showing some highlights and trends of how we improved what we were doing over the years. So with this, our previous GNC strategy had 3 strategic priorities. The first one was focusing very much on the operational support to national coordination platforms. And it was not a technical support, but coordination and information management support. And in addition to operational support, we were also looking at the producing guidance, which would enable us this support. The second priority was very much focusing on the capacity for coordination. And the third one on influencing and advocacy. I will go each strategic priority one by one and explain what we've done. So the first priority on the operational support. Before I start with what we've done, just a screenshot on the global nutrition and emergency responses for our information. It's probably not inclusive, but these are the NIE response as reported to the GNC by the priority countries, and you see number of countries on the left. As you see, over the years, we have increased our funding requirements in order to serve more population targeted. And you can see that we managed to have about 70–80% people reached over the years for nutrition and emergency interventions. Mostly this was allowed by the funding which we received as a sector of about 50–60–70%, but then in 2020, due to the COVID response, we received only 35% of what we needed. And this year, the figure is even a little bit less, although we are already in the 6 months. Now, so what we have done, and luckily we do have a reporting. We implemented in 2019 GNC support dashboard, which provides all the information on the different categories of our support. Unfortunately, we don't have data for all the interventions going up to 2017. So some of it we only started tracking in 2019. You can always go to the GNC website and get the access to the latest dashboard with the latest updates on everything what we are doing. Now, help desk support, which is one-on-one country support, we started it even in the previous strategy, and in 2017 we already have 2 help desks on coordination and IM. In 2018 we added 1 more on technical help desk on NIE, and in 2019 we expanded even further with nutrition information systems help desks and intersectorial help desk. We have tracked all the requests from 2020 when we actually had very big increase in the number of requests due to COVID. So last year we replied to 324 requests for support from 37 countries, and this year we've already supported 151 requests from 35 countries through all these 5 key priority support areas. The deployments, which is done through rapid response team on coordination and information management, and through Technical Alliance on the technical nutrition and emergency areas of support. You can see here on the graph that we have quite an increased number of overall technical support in 2019, again due to the COVID requests increase. You will notice in 2018 we don't have any RRTs deployment. That was because we didn't have any funding to have any RRT. But for now we are increasing our support. So the key constraint for the RRT's response for coordination and IM is actually funding and having enough people to be able to provide this support. And the key constraint for the Alliance technical support team deployments is awareness and not sending the request, because some countries don't know that they can actually request technical assistance as well. You can also see some more information on the dashboard, and you can see it in details on our website. Now, to provide our operational support, over the years, we have developed a number of different tools. First of all, coordination and IM toolkit that you can find on the website. They consist of more than 60 different tools needed at the different stages of implementation of the humanitarian program cycle. I specifically want to highlight 3 guidance which were recently developed. One of them on the cash and voucher assistance for nutrition outcomes, one on emergency response and preparedness for nutrition, and the third one is on nutrition humanitarian needs analysis, which we use for our HNO HRP process. You can attend events, satellite events on the 22nd of June that will speak more, that will talk more about emergency response preparedness and information management alignment with humanitarian program cycle. Now, to highlight that we no longer have a GNC handbook, we instead replaced it with the GNC checklists, which provide all the information that needed to know for the specific area of coordination or response as applicable to the clusters. We currently have coordination, information management, and IYCF toolkits, and in development are nutrition information systems and wasting checklists. To mention the COVID-19 guidance, we have developed quite a substantial amount of different guidance briefs in 4 languages, English, French, Spanish, and Arabic. And from the table, you see that they were very much used in the countries to support their nutrition response in the context of COVID. We will also have another satellite event on the 24th of June, which would specifically look into NIE coordination and programming in the context of COVID, and you will find out more about that. Now we were also updating our GNC website, and we launched the GNC Technical Alliance website. You can see the link on the slides to join them, where we have all the information related to our operations at global and country level. We also launched the GNC Newsletter last year. Initially, it was launched as a COVID-19 newsletter in order to provide weekly updates because the situation was changing so rapidly. But for now, it's transitioned to a monthly newsletter, which provides information and updates from the GNC and GNC Technical Alliance. We merged all the mailing lists together. Now we have more than 1,800 subscribers. As for the GNC Technical Alliance, which is a part of how we provide our technical response, it was initially launched in 2017 as GTAM and was relaunched in 2020 as a GNC Technical Alliance. It's currently led by UNICEF and World Vision International and supported by a leadership team. The Alliance is focused on access to technical information, new guidance, and technical support, both in country and remote. And we would talk more later in the presentation about how we responded to COVID-19 and how the Alliance responded. There is a number of satellite events next week where you can find out more about the work of the GNC Technical Alliance and also of different global thematic working group of this alliance. Now, the second strategic priority was capacity building on coordination and information management. One of the avenues webinars. Unfortunately, we only track information from 2019. So you will see we had a total of 14 webinars conducted in 2019, both on coordination information management, but also on the technical support. And it was 41 webinars last year. Again, the number has increased because of the need to provide capacity building and capacity development on nutrition and COVID. And at the end, we had roughly 1 webinar each week. And we already have 10 webinars conducted this year. You can see that we had up to 65 countries at one point attending our webinars. In terms of the standard GNC coordination team trainings, over the years, we developed quite a large number of packages. We have cluster coordination and information management packages. Intersectorial collaboration was developed in 2019, as well as cluster coordination for subnational coordinators. We also have a cluster partners training, which we deliver at the country level. You see on the slide that we don't have too many trainings because it's expensive and because it takes time to deliver those trainings. But also you see that from 2020 to 2021, we had a reduced number again because we were not able to do face-to-face trainings, but we started delivering some of those online with a facilitator. Now, we also launched mentoring program in 2019. And as you see, as of now, we had about 60 people who were mentored. Currently, we have 17 mentees enrolled in our program from 14 countries. The program is on coordination and information management, but also on the technical, intersectorial coordination and so on support. So the program identifies what are the key weaknesses on which a person wants to work and support them over a course of several months, one-on-one, to actually improve their skills and knowledge. We've also started looking more holistically at the capacity development in the GNC. The first step was development of the competency frameworks. We have now competency frameworks for cluster coordination, information management, and also for nutrition in humanitarian contexts. Basically, they list all the skills and behaviors which are necessary for a person to succeed in one of those roles. And based on this competency frameworks, we also developed a draft capacity development strategy in 2019, which we started implementing. Satellite event on the 22nd of June will actually provide more information on this approach, and we'll look to consult you on the way forward. And as a part of this approach, I just wanted to highlight that this year we have launched 150 e-learning modules on the functional competencies for coordination and information management. They're still in the pilot stage, and we are working on the platform for to improve the platform for their hosting. But as of now, you already have access to some of the training materials on the pilot stage. And the third strategic priority was on influencing and advocacy. One of our major priorities for advocacy was to improve number of countries with dedicated support for coordination and information management. You see that as per the information which we have, the number of dedicated cluster coordinators and information management was fairly stable. However, I will speak in my later presentations on what we are doing currently to improve it. And I'm really hopeful that in the next couple of years, we would be able to increase the number of dedicated coordination team staff in countries. Talking about advocacy, we have produced a number of different advocacy materials. Not all of them are presented here, just few highlights. ENN special issue in 2017 was dedicated to the nutrition cluster coordination and provided a number of the case studies and lessons learned on coordination and information management. The same year, the GNC has issued a statement on coordination and how important nutrition coordination for saving lives, which was used at the global level for fundraising and can also be used at country level to showcase the importance of coordination. We are now working on the intersectorial collaboration with the different clusters, and the first outcome of that was development of 2 case studies in South Sudan and in Yemen on intersectorial collaboration. And together with the Sun Movement Secretariat, we produced guidance on the HDN together with the case studies. Additionally, last year, because of the COVID, we issued a joint UNICEF and the GNC statement on the COVID-19 and wasting, as well as with support of IFICO group. We produced a template of joint statement on IVCF in the context of COVID-19 that was widely used in countries last year. We also work with the IPC Secretariat to strengthen IPC acute malnutrition in countries. Last year, as I mentioned, we produced the HNO guidance specifically for nutrition. And as a part of this guidance, we are promoting and encouraging IPC acute malnutrition analysis in countries. Unfortunately, due to COVID, in 2020, we were only able to do analysis in 9 countries because of the lack of data for the analysis. But we are hopeful that this year we will be able to increase this number of countries and support them better in development their humanitarian response plans. As you see, we've already have 7 countries conducted analysis this year. Additionally, we worked with the IPC Secretariat and key IPC steering committee partners, who are also GNC partners, to develop IPC acute malnutrition roadmap for 2021-2022, which aim to address the key bottlenecks in conducting this analysis. Now, just to mention, related to this slide, we would have a satellite event on the 22nd of June on intersectoral coordination, the way forward. And I would like to finish my presentation with this slide. These are our GNC annual and mid-year reports. We started producing annual report in 2014, and in 2019 we introduced mid-year reports, and simultaneously we actually introduced country-level reporting. So as of now, we produce GNC reports 2 times a year, and consisting of 2 parts. One, what we were doing and what is our achievement at the global level, and second, information from the country level. We also now provide all country level information that we have in real time on the GNC website, with the pages dedicated to the countries that we support. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Anna. We're going to open it up now for questions and answers based on this presentation. As Colleen mentioned during the ground rules, it would be great if people could type questions into the chat. But if people do have questions that they want to ask live, this is the opportunity to do so, and you feel free to turn on your camera if you do have a question. You can use the hand raise function if anybody has any questions for Anna. Anna, there's a question in the chat from Rita Akar about the mentorship program and signing up.
So for now, we are the mentoring program is available to coordination teams. It's cluster or sector coordination teams at country level, at national and subnational level. Potentially, when we will have a satellite event next week, we will be also discussing if we need to make any modifications to that, if we need to have changes to the mentoring program, and if we need to add an A component to that.
Thank you. You see another question in the chat about the difference from Naveen about the difference between the GNC Competency Framework and Organizational Competency Framework. For example, the one that UNICEF has. Oh, I think this is maybe about the NIE, yeah, competency. Go ahead.
So NIE, UNICEF Competency Framework is an internal framework, and it only includes 8 core competencies, which are the soft competencies. The GNC competency frameworks for coordination and information management are much more holistic. In addition to the soft competencies, they also look at the functional competencies, at the common competencies. So basically all type of different competencies that you need to have to succeed as a cluster coordinator or as information management. The GNC Technical Alliance Competency Framework for Nutrition in Emergency only focuses on the technical skills without as much focus on the soft skills. And the reason for that is because it's already a lot of skills to be focused on.
Thank you, Anna. I think that's clear. Any other questions for Anna about this presentation? Okay, with that, I think, Anna, we can go back to the slides, I think we just have one other photo to look at quickly in the slide deck, and then we're going to start in the next session. Okay, so same as Colleen mentioned before, please give a thumbs up if you see yourself in this photo from another Global Nutrition Cluster annual meeting. And if you can tell us where it was in the chat, you will get an in-person prize the next time we are all together in person.
Jordan, Sarah O'Flynn is the winner.
Yes.
And what year? Does anyone know what year? Alexa, yeah, 2018.
2018, yep. I think
Correct.
she's right. Hassan got it. Great job. Next slide, please, Anna. We're gonna turn over now to the next session where we're gonna start. I'm gonna hand it back over to Anna as well as to Saul to talk about the nutrition emergency sector roadmap, as well as the new GNC strategy that we've already mentioned in the opening remarks. So back over to you, Anna.
Thank you very much, Erin. So indeed, we thought that it would be useful to explain you the whole process of development of the NIE roadmap and the GNC strategy, so that when we have the discussions today, it's much clearer where it all fits in the picture. So the process, as you see, is presented here. We started around March this year with review of the external evaluation. I will talk a little bit more about that in this presentation. And we have also conducted internal evaluation. What was the GNC progress towards strategy 2017-2021? That's very much the same that I just presented in my presentation before, so I will not be stopping now on this part. Now, the second stage, once we conducted internal evaluation, and in parallel, we started consulting all the stakeholders internal to the GNC, but also external. And we have conducted 2 surveys. So thank you very much for participating in that. I will explain a little bit more about that as well. And based on all this, what we've done, we prepared some discussion points for the meeting today and over the next 3 days. So the idea, as co-chairs already said, that we will look into development of the NIE sector roadmap and into the development of the GNC strategy during this meeting. So after the meeting, we will take all the inputs which we received from you, from the survey, from all the evaluations that we've conducted, and developed by October a nutrition and emergency sector roadmap, which is now led by UNICEF to be able to develop it. And then 2022-2025 GNC strategy. We will also update our strategic operation, standard operating procedures, and develop the work plan based on that. So I will speak a little bit more in details of each of those stages. And the first one, let's look at the external evaluations. So there are 2 evaluations that were conducted in the recent years, which are very relevant to us. The first one is the UNICEF humanitarian review. It was conducted in 2019, beginning 2020, and a lot of it has already been implemented or is being implemented right now. So these are the recommendations. But the UNICEF and together with the Global Nutrition Cluster, we are already working on those recommendations. So 3 key recommendations from this evaluation was that UNICEF need to ensure that a dedicated cluster team is permanently in place where appropriate at the country level, and develop a career path for cluster coordinators to attract talent to those positions. There was also a recommendation that the cluster performance should be added to the country office leadership assessment. So it means that the heads of office of UNICEF would be evaluated also on how well clusters are performing in their countries. There was a recommendation to finance global cluster leadership using core UNICEF funding that will make it more sustainable and predictable. And the staff cluster coordination positions in the countries to make sure that they are always UNICEF personnel and not standby partners or other agencies. And the last recommendation was to prioritize investment in cluster coordinators and national co-leads through a pool of coordinators or by ensuring that program and emergency staff are trained to cover cluster functions. As I said, those recommendations are already being implemented. One of them, one of the responses, for example, is to development a standard decision tree to ensure that in each country we have a standardized way to decide what cluster coordination team should be. Now, the second evaluation, which is still ongoing, started this year and will be completed by September this year. This is the evaluation also that Marichel was mentioning. It's still ongoing, so what I will present are just preliminary results. There might be some changes in the final result, but we thought that it's important to share the preliminary results with you. This is based on the surveys that were conducted with different stakeholders, as well as on interviews at the global and country level. So the preliminary finding at the global level is that all the UNICEF-led clusters, including GNC, have matured over the last years. For example, we all now have and implement our multi-year strategies. We have clear structures with strategic advisory groups and working groups. In case of GNC, it's also GNC Technical Alliance. There is plenty of information sharing with the clusters. We produce a range of cluster products, for example, guidance materials, toolkits, capacity building materials. We have rapid deployments and help desk functions. Now, in terms of the perennial issues that are still source of confusion, these are issues related to UNICEF's accountability and the cluster's accountability. It's a question, for example, on provider of last resort and what exactly it entitles in practice. There is still some confusion between what the cluster or partner, what the cluster partner or member, and what is implementing partner of a certain UN agency concept. It was also highlighted that while a lot has been done for clusters on intersectoral collaboration, clusters are still operating in silos, and this needs to be strengthened. And the interface of cluster with other coordination models is not always clear. What was also highlighted is that global clusters have produced a lot of useful guidance materials and delivered support to the country level in addressing COVID-19. This comes through different evaluations, including through the surveys that we conducted, and it seems that that was a really good way of being agile and actually responding to the needs for more support and more guidance. In terms of the preliminary findings at the country level, first of all, nutrition sometimes faces challenges in activation as an IEC standalone cluster. This is something that we've been trying to address with the SAC for the past several years. And the issue is still persistent. Now, this is the issue because it often results in us not being able to coordinate and to implement our programs as good as we would have been able if we were a standalone cluster. Now, clusters' way of working in countries is generally appreciated. It's appreciated that they provide space for others to contribute and that they provide support to cluster members and partners. You see a graph on the right, and majority of the people who were surveyed are actually think that their expectation for coordination are fully or partially met by the clusters. Now, another finding was that leadership style and the cluster's focus or priorities are still perceived as personality driven rather than institutionally embedded, and they depend very much on the individual in the coordination position. Cluster leadership is not well understood and sometimes confused with cluster performance. And obviously, when leadership is unclear, the accountability is also not clear. And the last finding is that efforts made to strengthen intercluster work already, although there is more to be done, especially at the global level, but also at the country level as well. So these were just preliminary findings. As I said, they will be likely edited, modified, more findings added to them, but I think it already gives you some food for thoughts for the meeting today and in the next 2 days. Now, we started initial consultation with the stakeholders through several surveys. The first survey is what we call GNC Strategy survey. What we've done is, in consultation with the SAC, we developed proposed GNC vision, mission, goal, and strategic objectives. And then we shared them through a survey with GNC partners and coordination teams to gather feedback. We also included this question on the key nutrition and emergency priorities that helped us and UNICEF to develop the NA roadmap. So all of this contributed to the formulating discussions during these 3 days. We had a total of 41 respondents, and we incorporated as much as possible all the comments and changes into the draft strategic framework, which I will present to you on the day 3 of the meeting. Now, based on the survey, we now defined GNC vision, goal, mission, strategic objectives. And based on the discussion during these 3 meetings, they will be further refined. The second survey, which we've done about 1 month later in April, was the online survey, which we shared with different groups of GNC stakeholders. For example, with GNC partners, with donors, with members of working group, with subnational partners, with national partners, and so on. We asked them the same 2 questions. What do you think we are doing well, and what do you think we need to improve? But then we analyzed their responses based on the group to which they belong. We received a total of 207 responses, which I think is the largest number we've ever received for any survey. And thank you very much for that. It shows to me how interested you are to actually develop our strategy to improve the way we are working, which we hope to do. Now, I summarized here just key points from these surveys. Obviously, it's just something recurring themes. There is much more information from that survey that we will be using to draft the strategy. So in terms of what we are doing well, our respondents thought that we do provide relevant guidance and tools for humanitarian coordination. The one-on-one help desk support and technical support team, which is help desk and also deployments to countries, very highly appreciated. We adapt well to the new operating environment. Again, virtual support during COVID-19 was mentioned many times. Capacity building on coordination and information management seems to be something that we do well with a variety of avenues, delivery of training, webinars, mentoring programs, and so on. We also provide information for platform for information sharing through GNC websites, through newsletters, through emails, and so on. We started focusing in our global guidance not only on the role of the coordination team, but also role of the partners, which was highly appreciated. And as a GNCCT, we are convening GNC partners when crises are emerging, for example, for country-specific calls, which was found to be very useful. Now, in terms of what we can be doing better, the first is strengthen advocacy at all levels, which has come up in many surveys throughout different stakeholder groups. Second is strengthen support to subnational coordination mechanism. Over the years, our focus was very much on the national coordination platforms, with an assumption that the national coordination platforms will support subnational coordination hubs. However, it seems that there is an interest in figuring out how best to strengthen our support to subnational platforms. Now, there is an ask to scale up our capacity development in the context of localization and also for nutrition and emergency technical areas. There is request to continue our work on adaptation of cluster sector work in complex settings through the intersectorial collaboration approach, and also humanitarian development nexus, including engagement with the Sun movement. Expansion of partnership was raised a number of times. Currently, at the global level, our partners are UN agencies, international NGOs, donors, a few consultants, and a few academic institutions. So there is a question for us to consider if we would like and if we should expand our partnership at global level and also at country level to include more academic and research institutions, private sector, non-traditional donors, and so on. We also should scale up advocacy to UNICEF for adequate human resources in countries, which means that UNICEF is hiring adequate coordination teams at national and subnational level, something that we are already working with UNICEF on. And a focus on evidence generation, knowledge management, and communication at all levels, both technical and coordination. As you saw, we did have a little bit on advocacy and information sharing at the last strategy, but now there is an ask to focus more on the evidence generation, knowledge management, information sharing, and communication. So now, based on this survey, as I said, we prepared the meeting now. I just prepared this very beautiful picture, which shows that what we are going to do during these 3 days is to look at the overlap on intersection of nutrition and humanitarian response, which is our nutrition in emergency sector. And when I say nutrition in emergency, I also include preparedness, humanitarian development nexus, and transition to development coordination. So we did want with you today to not start with looking at the GNC, but look at the nutrition in emergency. And what are those key challenges for the sector, as all of us have, no matter whether we are part of the cluster or sector or not? And what are those solutions that should be implemented for us to overcome those challenges? As I said, we've already prepared a number of challenges and solutions for discussion. So it's easier because we only have 60 minutes for group work each day. So you don't start from scratch. Now, I'd like to thank UNICEF for leading this work on development of the draft nutrition and emergency roadmap. And they will be taking forward all those discussions that we will be having today in order to finalize the roadmap after the meeting. Now, in the third day of the meeting, we will look at the GNC. And once we have this roadmap developed and we have our understanding of what are those solutions that we need to implement, we will look at what is the GNC role in implementing those solutions. It can be that GNC might be actually implementing some of them. It can be that we will be advocated for some of them, and it can be that we have not much say in some others. But the idea is that we didn't want to look at the GNC and what we are currently doing and then develop our strategy based on that, but we wanted to have a holistic view of what is nutrition and emergency sector roadmap and then find our way in this. Now, once we do this over the 3 days, the plan for after, as I already said, but I will explain in a little bit more details. So nutrition and emergency sector roadmap is planned to be developed by October 2021. Again, based on all the feedback, UNICEF with the GNC and with the strategic advisory group will be working on developing the strategy. In parallel, GNCCT with SAG will be working on development of the 2022-2025 GNC strategy, again, based on all the feedback that we will receive today. Once this is developed, somewhere in September, we are planning to update our standard operating procedure. we need to ensure that our structures, which we currently have, are actually very well placed to support the implementation of our strategy. So we will compare our current strategy with our current structure with our strategy and see if we need to change anything. And we are planning that in September, we will organize a webinar with all of you where we will be discussing any updates for the standard operating procedure, which has not been updated since 2014. And based on all of that, we will be towards the end of the year developing our core state work plan for the next year and start implementation of our new strategy. And with this, I would like to finish my presentation.
Great. Thanks very much, Anna, for that. Really useful overview of where we've been and the process that has been undertaken since March to plan towards this meeting and where we're going beyond it. So we have time for a Q&A session now. So I encourage you to use the chat or put your microphone on and camera on. So I see you there, Stefano. Over to you first.
Thank you very much. The option for raising a hand is not working.
Okay, good to know.
Thanks a lot. So I just wanted to say to Anna and to all of you and the whole team for a great thank you and very much appreciation for organizing this event. And while I was also on extended family leave. But just wanted to reiterate something. Anna very well summarized some of the key achievements of the last year, but really I thought that does not adequately reflect the massive efforts that all of you, in particular based in the field, have done in the last year and a half to very rapidly switch gear and double the number of countries that we have been supporting through the COVID response. Going through massive changes in terms of delivery support, shifting to remote support, shifting to alternative methods of reaching out, independently of whether the coordination mechanism had been an activated cluster or a sector coordination mechanism. We really doubled the effort to reach as many people who could benefit from the experience, from the technical support and the capacity available through the GNC globally. And many of you have done so for extended periods in very difficult times with no R&R, with no capacity to go back home for rest and recuperation. So I think that has been the whole cluster partnership has really shown that a model of flexibility, adaptability, and commitment in responding to these new challenges. And in such a way that I know there have been several reports that the nutrition cluster has actually been a very strong model for other clusters to follow. So I'm totally confident that we're going to be able to capitalize on the experience that we have built in the COVID response, and the experience we built in strengthening sectoral coordination in any country prior to, during, and after a crisis, so that we can really also better incorporate the additional agendas of humanitarian development nexus, localization, and so on, to make sure that some of these excellent changes that we brought together are part of our future modus operandi. So thank you very much, and I'm really looking forward to participating in some of the ongoing discussions. Thanks a lot.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much, and we'll move to our next question. And please keep your questions coming in the chat if you have them. So there's one from Asfia Azim on how this strategy will complement the United Nations Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework.
Thank you. So UNSDSF is a, first of all, is a UN framework, and secondly is a framework for the country level action. Currently, we are talking about the Global Nutrition Strategy, which is a strategy for not only UN, but for all the different partners. And secondly, it's a strategy at the global level. It would focus on our support, which we are providing to the country level. Now, but if we are talking about country level, then the work which we are doing as humanitarian work, led, coordinated by clusters and sectors, is supposed to be a part of this framework. Over.
Great, thanks, Anna. Okay, I don't see, I'm just looking for raised hands, but maybe that function isn't working. So if you would like to unmute yourself and ask a question, feel free to do that or use the chat. I'm not seeing any further questions at the moment. Okay, all right then, I think we'll keep moving on. So Anna, if you could share the slide deck. And if you do think of a question later, feel free to put it in the chat and we can respond. We can make sure that they're responded to that way. Okay, so we have another photo. As last time, please give a thumbs up if you were there. And where do you think this was and when do you think it was? Brussels, correct. Nicholas is the winner this time for speed. And what year? 2019, correct, Andy? That's great. This was our last face-to-face gathering. Great. Something else I want to mention that we're doing is we're putting together a virtual photo album that I'm going to paste the link to in the chat. So let me just do that. And we'll put these photos in that album if these are something you would like to get a hold of. But the idea is to share your memories of the GNC and share your current work. So if you have photos of working group meetings, of your work in the field, feel free to upload them to this link here. And then, you know, we will, as attendees of this meeting, we'll have access to this to have a look and see what's shared there, just to help create some ties across us all. So feel free to upload your photos to that link. All right, next slide, please. We're going to just move now. I'm going to pass it over to Erin. Or no, is it my turn? Sorry, I'm losing my, no, it's my turn. Sorry, Erin. Losing my spot on our chairing duties. So I'm just going to explain the group work and how that's going to work today. And then after that, we're going to have a short break before you go into your groups. Okay, so the group work, there are, as I mentioned, there are breakout groups that are set up around each of the NIE areas, so the areas of the roadmap. And so if you could, when we get to that, if you could take a look at the 10 different domains and select which one you're interested in. And keep in mind, if you can commit to, you could just go back, please. We'll get to that slide in a minute. If you could commit to attending this group all week or for the next 2 days, because the work you're going to do today is going to build going out. So you're going to be able to choose a breakout room. So when we move to break, the breakout rooms are going to be launched and you should be able to select the breakout room you want to go to. Now, as I mentioned, if you don't have the capability to select, it's probably due to the version of Zoom you're working off of, No problem, just stay on this main meeting link and there'll be some technical support provided for you to manually put you in the breakout room that you would like to join. So each breakout group for the NIE areas or domains does have co-chairs assigned, and they'll be leading you through the work ahead. We're also going to have, and your group leaders, your co-chair will explain this, but we're going to have a whiteboard that for each of the 10 NIE domains, because we want to be able to make sure there's cross-sharing of ideas across these 10 breakout groups. So let's say in my breakout group, we start talking about a topic that's relevant for a different area or domain. We're going to go to that whiteboard and put our thought or idea on the whiteboard for that area, and that will be monitored so that that group gets the feedback. This is going to take a little bit of effort on all our part to coordinate, but I think it is a way that we can make sure there is some sharing of ideas across the group. Today, the groups are going to be looking at challenges by the NIE area, and there already has been some thinking around that, and so you're not going to be starting from scratch, thankfully, and your co-chairs are going to lead you through that. So you're going to review what the challenges are for that area today and refine them, and maybe there's some additional challenges that need to be added, maybe there's some challenges there that you don't agree with. So the idea and the task for today is to come up with maximum 3 challenges for your particular area. And then tomorrow, when we all convene for day 2, we're going to share those top 3 challenges for each area. Okay, so that is that's our synopsis of the group work. Now, I'm just looking at the time. We're going to take a 10-minute break. I'm actually going to make it a 13-minute break so that we come back at the bottom of the hour. So at my time, that would be 8:30 Eastern time, but I know you're all in different time zones. So let's just say the bottom of the hour. I hope that works for everyone, basically in 13 minutes. So if you could if you could join your breakout group during the break time to just make sure you're there, and so that at the bottom of the hour, in 13 minutes, we can start and you will be in your groups. We then have a 60-minute period for group work, and then we will reconvene. Anna, is there anything I missed in these instructions?
No, you did not. It was perfect. Thank you very much. I mean, let people judge whether it was perfect if they understood everything. The point I wanted to make is that because we didn't have too many Q&A, we saved additional 20 minutes. So maybe we don't need to have 60 minutes break room, but 80 minutes. But that's I guess up to us to decide now.
Yeah, I think maybe, in my opinion, I think 80 minutes will be a lot, but maybe we can try to connect with the group chairs as the work's going on to see whether more time is needed or not. So let's for now start with 60, but we can check in. So we'll come back at the bottom of the hour. So we have 12 minutes now, and then group work will go for 60 minutes unless otherwise notified. Okay, so have yourself a break, get yourself a tea or a coffee and have a stretch, and we will meet in our groups.
So would you paste a link for the groups?
So there's going to be breakout rooms. A great question. There's going to be breakout room links that are going to be appearing. Oh, thank you for the slide. I forgot to go through this one. So here are the groups. Okay, there's 10 of them. I won't read through them, but we'll keep this up on the screen, and you could think about which group you would like to join and be part of this week. So All right. Okay, so you can, you should, I think I'm seeing in front of my screen a prompt that where if you scroll down, all of the groups appear and you can click which one you want to join. And as I mentioned, if you cannot get yourself in a group because you don't have the technical capability, just stay on this link and Shabib or Judith will be able to assign you. You can maybe put a note in the chat so that that they see you are there.
Yes, maybe if you all, before going to the break, you can see if you can join the group, and if not, then on the chat, just write your name and the group you want to join, and Judith and Shabib will just drag you to that group. Thanks.
Okay, I joined my breakout room and then I disappeared. So I think we're set. Again, please note in the chat if you can't join, and we'll convene now in 9 minutes at the bottom of the hour. Okay, thanks everybody. Enjoy your break. Let's do that then, because some groups I think did get finished. So rather than leave people hanging around for the wrap up, let's do a wrap up and then open the groups again. And if you're not done, feel free to go back. So just in terms of closing for today, Erin and I aren't going to do a recap of main points, but there's just 2 things that we do want to do before we send everybody on their way. First is just a short poll to get your feedback on how things ran today. So if I can ask Shabib to deploy that, and once the poll is done, we're going to do a group photo. So after you've finished answering the poll, if you can turn your cameras on and smile nicely, and we'll get a screenshot of everybody. Okay, so the poll is launched.
So we have about 60 people who voted, and people are still voting. So maybe if we can finish in the next 30 seconds, I can then close the polling. Okay, so I think we've done with 72 votes. I think if I end polling, oh, shall I share the results or no?
Up to you, Anna.
Only if they're good.
Well, they're okay. I mean, I have nothing to hide.
Sure, why don't you share the results and just so those that are curious. And then we'll have the photo. Okay. Are you sharing the poll results, Anna? Sorry.
No, I closed. Oh, they were shared before. Did you see?
They were shared. Okay, yeah. Okay, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, we could see them, Anna.
Okay, great. And sorry if you didn't get to complete the form. We had about 75% respond. So
we could see the results, but not really long enough. Can you show them again, please?
Absolutely. So we had, maybe I'll just summarize it. We have most of the people given 4 stars for this meeting, and then another 30% 5 stars. So several people said 3 stars, and somebody put 1, but I want to think that they wanted to put 5. It was just a mistake. On the question, which topics or aspects of day 1 did you find most interesting and useful? Most of the people group work, which is 70%, 30% also liked the presentation, and we didn't have plenary feedback. And I'm happy that nobody selected none. So something was useful. And do you feel that today's meeting met its goals? 96% yes. And
Great.
I'll stop sharing results.
Thanks. Thanks, Anna. Thanks everybody for your feedback on today. So now we're going to do a screenshot to capture our participants. So Shabib, I'm going to let you do that. So if everyone can turn their cameras on. Yeah.
So it will be a little bit long, and you would not know on which screen of Shabib you are doing, and he will have to take several screenshots of different screens. So please keep smiling. Yeah, for a few minutes.
Does it start to hurt for someone?
Someone told me you're supposed to say chicken, so then your neck goes up with the second, and like or a 2-syllable word.
I usually say something a lot less appropriate.
I thought it was cheese.
Cheese.
Well, apparently you want to get your neck up, the second syllable. Achieve that.
Done. No, thank you.
It's so nice to see everyone.
Thank you.
It sure is.
It is really nice.
Okay, let's go for drinks now.
Can you
it's
share
drinks time.
Yeah, maybe Shabib, can you, and I'll send you the link separately, but could you upload the photos to the Google photo album that I mentioned earlier, and that way people can get them from there. And just a reminder, if you have other GNC photos or work from your country of work you've been doing related to the cluster, feel free to upload it there. But I think, yeah, I think that's all we have for today. Thank you everybody for coming, for your engagement, and we will reopen the breakout group rooms. So if you need to continue on with your work, please go and do that, and we will rejoin tomorrow at the same time, same place, and looking forward to working with you all tomorrow. And I will include that link again. Just give me a minute to do that. Okay, the photo link. Any closing words from you, Erin?
No, just to say thank you so much. It's great to actually end on time or a little bit early, and apologies if people joined late and you missed some of the sessions. But as Anna mentioned, we did record, so you will be able to watch this again at your leisure. But I hope everyone has a good evening or a good rest of the day, depending on where you are. And yeah, it's so nice to see people's faces. It's been a really long time, and really, really appreciate the hard group work, even though we canceled the financing group because only Dr. Tariq joined. But for the other groups, good job, and we will see you all tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day.
Great. Bye, everybody. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
So I'm opening the rooms,
Thank you.
and if you want to join the other room, go ahead.
Yeah, and if you can't join, again, just stay in and we can add you.
No, it will be fine now. now because everybody in the rooms, they can just go themselves.
Hi, Shabib.